Not only is David Thomas not playing Blue Eye Control, I just realized something.
Yeah.
This man has 0 Azorius Charms in his deck.
I love it.
How could you?
I love it.
Christian Calcano said Azorius Charms unplayable, made a Facebook status on that, and I responded, I nearly unfriended you for this.
Well,
and then I got a bunch of likes from that.
You gotta take a stand. You gotta take a stand somewhere.
Unplayable.
As we're gonna go back and forth here, we're gonna see a lot of lands come into play. There's a Temple of Deceit from Thomas. He's gonna scry. Looks like he's gonna keep it on top. Krabill's gonna draw a card for the turn. Hope he does have a land, and he does. It's a Plains.
God,
turn back.
The negative of this is Brendon in the control mirror has 0 scrying. The reason why Max did well with blue-white compared to the Esper decks that didn't do as well, well, I mean, a bunch of them did top 8 anyway, but the reason why he did well was because he doesn't have the mana situation that the other decks do. He doesn't have to shock himself to play spells. Mm-hmm. All of his lands are immune to Burning Earth. He has more consistency. He plays a bunch of 4s and 4s and 4s. So you can do something like that, but you're sacrificing a bunch of scry. A lot of scry down the drain.
Yeah, no manipulation. You know, that blue-white scry land does not exist yet. I can't wait until it does. I think it's going to be sweet. I think it's going to have great artwork. But it's not here right now. So the Esper deck does have 8 scry lands to Krabill's 0. So, again, both players are going to go back and forth, making sure they hit land drops. You know, here's an Azorius Guildgate. No scry there, obviously.
Yep.
Going to pass the turn back to Thomas, who untaps his land. He's already scried 3 times this game, and as we do go back and forth, as he does play at Plains, we'll see someone break the parity eventually with a Jace or an Aetherling or maybe a Revelation on the end step. Now, the one thing that favors the blue-eye control deck, Shaheen, is that deck typically has more counter magic.
Yes, true.
And so what you find here is 2 copies of Essence Scatter, 2 Dissolves, and 2 copies of Syncopate. Syncopate, a card that's really interesting to me, as here's a Revelation in response to Divination here from Thomas, because it's actually really good against Revelation.
Right, and another good thing about that is Essence Scatter in this matchup is actually very good because there's actually one card that beats you, really, and that's Aetherling. Mm-hmm. So, and it forces you to hold that card, and when they finally do try to get Aetherling under, you can easily Essence Scatter because there are no other legal targets in this matchup. Yep. And I like David Thomas's response with Revelation because he actually doesn't have a 6th land. He needed that Revelation to resolve to continue to hit land drops. And he didn't draw it off those 2 cards, but he drew one for turn. So luckily for him, oh no, he did draw one. He drew a Hallowed Fountain. But before that, he did not have a 6th land, so it's pretty good. He's going to have to move to discard, though. And he'll gladly pitch it. I can't see his graveyard. We can have him slide over there.
Like a verdict.
Yeah, easy discard. I could have guessed that in the dark there. There will be no targets for a verdict here. No sweeping necessary.
You know, oftentimes in the mirror match, the only thing you really need to sweep up are like the 3 tokens made from Elspeth before after you kill with a Hero's Downfall or Detention Sphere. So Verdict is a super easy discard in this matchup. Thomas going to draw a card. It's another Hallowed Fountain. So again, he is not the first person to miss a land drop. It is actually Krabill who's the first person to miss a land drop here. So again, in your control mirrors, it's all about getting ahead of the opponent on land so you can do multiple things in a turn, win a counter war, all of that good stuff.
Yep. It also has a lot to do with drawing the right side of your deck, and it looks like both of them have action. I've seen a lot of control mirrors go astray because you draw your verdicts and you draw your removal, and the other side is drawing the planeswalkers. You can't have that happen to you, too.
Now you're going to see Thomas use a Dissolve here on a Sphinx's Revelation, something that Huey Jensen says, especially in Game 1 of these mirrors, you don't do. Mm-mm. You have to save that counter magic for the one thing that does matter, which is Aetherling. But Thomas decides, I'm actually going to counter this Sphinx Revelation. You did not hit your 7th land drop. I want to make sure that you actually don't hit your lands. How do you feel about that?
I like it because David has a Hero's Downfall plus Devour Flesh in hand. So even if Brendon, worst case scenario, plays 7th land Aetherling, he can untap and kill it. Or don't even need to untap. He can end of turn, try to kill it, and then main phase kill it. Mm-hmm. So Aetherling is fine here. So I like it here.
Hallowed Fountain comes into play tap. Going to pass that turn back. Thomas going to draw a card. It's a Temple of Silence. If you guys are wondering about that article that Jensen did write, very popular article that did go up last week on the premium side of Star City Games, divination here from Thomas, explaining all the intricacies of the Esper Mirror as Jensen, the now Hall of Famer, did top 8 Grand Prix Louisville and made the finals of the Invitational over these past couple of weeks. Did a lot of winning in the Esper.
Yeah, he's definitely, I think he's top 8 pretty much every Open he's played in this year.
Yeah, I don't think he's lost a match ever.
No, I don't think so either. There's just some players that are just very, very good inherently. They can take large breaks and come back and do well. He's one of them from the old school, as they say.
Yeah, he is back and better than ever, taking this weekend off before he goes back on a nice, I think it's like a 5 or 6 week stretch of playing Magic. So, Huey, I don't know if you're watching at home, but enjoy your feet up. He's probably motoing, to be fair.
Yeah. That's what we do during our breaks. We moto. That's good. All right, so it looks like Both players, bunch of draw go. There's not really much they can do to each other because Thomas only has 2 aetherling in his deck, and Brendon has one. So it's pretty much down to that. They're not going to kill each other with Elspeth, probably. Another thing that's interesting in this matchup is with Jace. Once you get up there in Jace and you have a few cards, I think I would start plussing Jace because you might need to get it to Ultimate in order to take their Winkage from their deck. Because remember, they only have Elspeth or 2 Elspeth. So you want to get that away, or you can take their aetherling. And if you take their aetherling, that works too. You can't remove it, obviously, but you can leave it in play, and then they don't have their aetherling.
Temple of Silence comes into play for Thomas, scries it to the bottom. Krabill with a full hand, staring at Elspeth, but staring at 8 lands. Does not look like he has a land to play for the turn. He's going to discard, in essence,
I don't like that.
Yeah, I was going to say a card that you think is very important in the mirror.
Yeah, I think you have to hold that card. I think everything that says counter, you can stop reading it and then keep it in your hand. There's definitely cards that are worse. Even a card like Detention Sphere is worse in this matchup. I think Essence Scatter is the card you want to stop aetherling.
Celestial Flare, the draw here for Krabill, so a bit of a hedge against the aggressive decks in the format. Certainly not great in this matchup or opposing control matchup, so I think that's probably a pretty easy discard, and that's exactly what he will discard as Thomas untaps that shrine, draws his card for the turn. He's got a land to play.
Ooh, Thoughtseize, perfect card to draw. David actually was joking around with me saying he was able to use his 2 Quickens and Quicken Thoughtseize someone on their draw step. Pretty nice little.
That's not so bad.
Pretty nice little play there.
So now here is Thoughtseize, and this is the thing that's going to start the war. Finally, we're going to break the parity here.
Yep.
And I actually like the idea of a Quicken Thoughtseize on your end step. Maybe you have a fight over to the end step, and then you untap all the mana.
Yeah.
And then slam an aetherling.
Quicken definitely works with Thoughtseize pretty well.
Yeah.
I actually had Quicken in my original Blue White Red, but there's just not any cool things you can do with it. But with Thoughtseize, it definitely is pretty cool there.
Thoughtseize is going to show the grip. We've got a Dissolve, an Essence Scatter, 2 Detention Spheres, a Syncopate, an Aetherling, and an Elspeth. Shaheen, you're playing Esper. What do you do?
Aetherling.
Easy Aetherling?
Easy Aetherling, yep. Because you know for a fact, David, even though he's playing 2 Aetherling, the rest of the world is playing 1 in their main deck. So you take that Aetherling, and then you just sit back, kick your feet up, relax for the rest of the match, and just try not to get destroyed by an Elspeth. Yep, he's going to take Aetherling. I can smell it.
How's it smell?
It smells like a burning aetherling. That's what it smells like. And there it goes. Yeah, it's like you can think all you want. There could be situations, but in that situation, it's a vacuum. It is a one solution problem, and you got to take aetherling.
Now we get in a situation here too. If you're Krabill, as he does draw Divination for the turn, so we're going to see if Thomas allows the 2 cards to come in. It does. He draws a Jace and he draws an Island. You're going to get yourself in a situation now where it might come down to decking.
Yeah. And it's pretty funny because David, having 2 Aetherlings, definitely has the upper hand game 1. Oh, and Jace here. So I'm glad that Brendon's playing spells. He's going to start needing to. David knows that Brendon has a Syncopate, so he can Revelation for all -1. I think I'd let this Jace resolve.
And that's exactly what he's going to do. I think it's going to be in response to the Jace too.
Yeah. I mean, he's playing around Negate, which is a card because Brendon already played his land, so he's not going to respond to that. It's not really going to help.
Yeah.
I think this might have been a little cute, but it's okay.
I mean, I think it's good because what you're going to do is you're going to draw your cards, and then when the Jace actually happens, and the -2 is likely what's going to happen with the Jace, you can actually work with perfect information. You know the cards in your hand, and then you actually can split better for the Jace.
Yeah.
So I like that.
I guess, and it could play the other way too, giving Brendon information now, what he might want to do with his cards, which pile he should take now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess there's a little bit of back and forth there.
So Jace is in, -2 is now going to resolve. There's an Elspeth, there's a Hollow Fountain, and there is an Island. So Thomas quickly splits.
I would probably give him the Elspeth 1 pile too.
Now, one thing that Jensen also advocated in his article is the 3-0 split.
Yeah. I thought about it for a minute. I think it's too early for that. I think because Brendon's missing land drops, I wouldn't at this point.
Okay.
But if he was making his land drops and when you Thoughtseize him, he had like a land or 2 in his hand, I'd give him all 3 land.
Okay.
Or all 2 land. But he's missing land drops, so we might as well keep him hungry for a little bit.
Thomas draws his card for the turn. 7 new cards drawn total. That Revelation was for 6, plus he draws a card for the turn. He's going to start off with another Thoughtseize, and you can see the power of Thoughtseize in these mirrors. And this is why I love playing Esper.
Yeah.
Is because Thoughtseize is basically a 1-mana counterspell.
Yeah.
In this matchup.
Even better.
Yeah. And now, as good as Essence Scatter is at taking care of Aetherling, you could easily take Essence Scatter here, resolve the Aetherling, and then there's no going back from that.
Yeah, this game is. I've never said a game is over when they're both almost at 20 life, but knowing Brendon's deck, there's just no way he's going to be able to beat this Aetherling.
assuming that Thomas does have one in his hand.
I think he did, because he quickly took it, yeah.
And so he is going to play Aetherling right now, and you check out how much blue mana does he have? Oh, just 4.
Just 4.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be able to kill it in some other alternate universe. Not here. Not in the real world, champ.
There's a sync.
Oh, take that.
That's an easy pay. Thank you very much.
Take that.
Now here's 3 mana.
Murda.
He's going to play Detention Sphere to take care of the Jason. He knows the contents of Krabill's hand, just like you guys do at home. 2 Detention Spheres. There's a Syncopate, that's gone. Essence Scatter got taken, so there's a Dissolve over there. There's 2 copies of Elspeth, so he knows that my Aetherling's not going to die. I can tap a little low.
Well, even so, he's playing as blue-white. They actually just don't have a way to string 2 instant speed removal spells together. So even one open, blue-white is unable to kill it.
Looks like an Elspeth is about to be cast. And so the Planeswalker is here, and Thomas says, I'm not going to fight over that because I don't care about that.
Yep, who cares? I have 7 spells in my hand, says David. I have Aetherling in play. If you ask a control mirror player, what would you rather have, 7 cards in hand or an Aetherling, they would gladly discard their 7 cards to have an Aetherling in play. It's just too good.
I don't need them.
Yep.
I don't need these cards. I got Aetherling.
Yeah, I got this guy. I got this unblockable 8-power guy.
So once Elspeth does come in, makes those soldier tokens, you see Krabill's got 3 mana available to cast a Dissolve. That, of course, Thomas does know about due to those Thought Seizes. Thomas will quickly untap all of those lands, and now this is where the 4/5 Shapeshifter goes to work.
Yep, easily dispatching Elspeth if he wants to, and I would. I mean, there's just no reason not to. And he will kill Elspeth here. I'm sure there's merit just to going to the dome here and just beating Brendon pretty bad. And he's just going to remove Aetherling here, and they can he can Detention Sphere here, he can Jace +1, he can Verdict, he can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think I played Jace here in +1, just because, it's better to have a solid play. Actually, he does have Detention Sphere, but it will draw that from him, though.
One thing I'm just noticing here, because Thomas is certainly ahead now because he has Aetherling and Krabill doesn't, and Krabill's Aetherling did get discarded via Thoughtseize, is just make sure that you have enough blue mana.
Yeah, he's tapping a lot of blue for nothing here.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's actually using all of his blue. He's had to use the blue mana, though, because 2 for Jason, then 1 to make Aetherling unblockable.
Oh, you're right.
So he actually, if you look at his blue mana, he just doesn't draw in very much as he plays a Goblet Shrine tapped and passes the turn back.
Yep. Luckily, he's got this 2 hiding to the left, so he should be good.
Don't think anything is going to go wrong, but you never know. Now,
in a different world, in a Esper versus Esper, things could go wrong. You can string together a lot of dead Doomblades and Devour Fleshes, but here, you're not going to see anything like that.
D-Sphere is going to take care of that Jace. So now you've got Aetherling staring down those soldier tokens. Going to be staring down 6 of them now.
Yeah, again, Brendon is battling the best he can. It'll take a lot of removal spells in a row of charms and whatnot to stop Aetherling from eventually connecting here.
You see Krabill's in here. He's got that other Elspeth. He's got the Dissolve. He's got those 2 spheres.
That's for 0 damage.
Yep.
So.
And eat one of those guys. So, that attack there, it looks like he forgot about the Jace trigger. And also, it's on Thomas to make sure he doesn't forget the Jace trigger, too.
Do you know from Moto for like a month and a half, it wouldn't do it? I had someone, I plus my Jace, they Zealous Conscript stole it, then used it to -2 and kill it. And then when I attacked the next turn, my creatures got -1, -0. On Moto. I'm like,
I don't know if that's how that's supposed to work.
I love this program.
Yeah. Unblockable is the Aetherling. Going to use non-blue mana to take care of the Elspeth.
Yep.
Make sure he doesn't go too quick here. Now, you are ahead, but don't want to get sloppy when you're ahead.
Yep. Tends to happen, too. A lot of times that's when sloppy play occurs, is when it feels like nothing can go wrong.
Aetherling going to blink back. It's in play, staring down 5 Elspeth soldier tokens. There is no Jace activation here, so those tokens can attack. Krabill's going to play a Plains. We know he's got that other Elspeth. We know he's got 2 Detention Spheres. We know he's got a Dissolve.
Yep. Sadly for him, we know that there is no Aetherling in his future. His 1 out of 1 is gone. And against these Esper decks, you kind of are in between a rock and a hard place. You hold your Aetherling, wait for counter magic, you get Thoughtseize. If you don't and you play it out, then it gets killed.
D-Sphere on the stack. Blink that.
It's a May ability, though.
Yeah, it is a May ability. That's the trick.
David doesn't know.
Yeah, with Oblivion Ring, that would be the ultimate.
Oh, no, it's May. I think David pointed out as a must, I think. Maybe we can ask the judges. Yeah, it's a May ability.
It's a May ability.
And David actually pointed out that it was not a May ability, probably. I'm sure he didn't know, but...
Yeah, I mean the way that he played the turn made it think that it wasn't a must ability because those effects be it Oblivion Ring or other effects like that, have always been musts.
Right.
So you could always blow your opponent out by doing that,
Yeah.
making the permanent go when they have to target something of their own. But D-Sphere is not worded that way.
D-Sphere is a May. I think from now on we're going to see mostly Mays in our future here.
Yeah.
It seems to be the new direction Wizards is going. I don't think it would have mattered much anyway, but obviously probably a little chat with David.
That's kind of interesting too, because I mean it's likely that Thomas has been playing his spheres in such a way over the course of this tournament that he thought they were Mays and may have affected some of his plays.
Yeah, he could have hit his own things as well. So, all right, well, live and learn.
Yeah.
Hopefully he learns. We'll send a little memo down after the match is over.
A telegram.
Yeah. Okay. We send a little courier pigeon.
Yeah, candygram. Here's a chase.
Or a singing one. You want to go sing to him?
No, I don't like singing. And here is an Elspeth.
Planeswalker, Planeswalker, Planeswalker. And you've normally, when you see this on the other side of the board, you're about scooping your cards, but not with aetherling in play.
No, you're feeling comfy, you're feeling cozy. Yep. You got all that mana available. You don't care about any of the Planeswalkers that are being played here.
Yep. And David's just going through the motion. He'll just turn by turn pick off Planeswalkers with aetherling and just keep it going.
It's obviously very important, too, that even though Thomas is ahead right now, you look at the clock in the middle.
Quicken.
And here's a Quicken. Ooh, baby.
Quicken verdict
Hold
maybe
on,
coming.
I can't wait to see what's going to happen. 3, 4, 5. I also am wondering when this is, because there's a big difference here between end of turn and end of second main phase.
Yeah.
If it's end of turn, the aetherling won't come back until Thomas's end of phase. So let's see what he's going to do here. And there's a second Quicken.
Just cantripping.
Okay. Also, what's of note here is that he's actually showing his opponent that, hey, I have Quicken in my deck.
Yep. Oh. Sorry.
Yep.
So
second main phase is when this is all happening. So now there is a Supreme Verdict. I had a feeling that's exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah.
So it does come back on his turn. Now he can actually clean up Elspeth, as long as he remembers that there is a Jace -1/-soda count.
Yep.
So he's going to have to put a little bit more extra mana than he wants to, but wants to clear that Elspeth off the table. There's a bunch of mana. Looks like 6 of it to be exact. 7, 8. Well, what are we doing here? Is this a Revelation? Do we even need to cast a Revelation? He is moving quickly. Just needs to make sure that he doesn't move too quickly. That's all. All right, so there's a Rev.
All right, so adding cards. I guess he's just, fanning the flames of this game here. Why not just draw a bunch more cards here?
Gotta be careful. You don't want to. How important is this Revelation right now? That's I feel like that's a legitimate question.
Probably not at all. David won this game maybe 5-6 turns ago whenever aetherling came out.
Yeah.
And now it's just it's all about just wrapping it up. The clock is an enemy here, because if David wins this game and then game 2 goes in Brendon's favor, you're almost guaranteeing a draw here if you don't end this game quickly here. So.
I'm getting a text from Huey Jensen. Was wondering if he was watching. I think he's probably got Moto open on one monitor and this open on the other.
All right.
But with the Detention Sphere play, again, it's not something that David did wrong, because it's with Detention Sphere you have to target,
right?
And it's up to the owner of the Detention Sphere to decline the use of it.
Right. It depends on the wording David used. If David said something like, "It removes all your guys from the game," then he's insinuating that not only are you have to target, but that it will also do that. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on the wording that he used there. And I don't think he had any malintent, so I'm not gonna say that. I am positive it did not, knowing who David is. But when you say something like, "It gets rid of all your stuff," that's not the proper wording you should use. You should say target your own guy, and then you can make that decision to do the May ability or not.
So you saw Thomas go after Jace, knock it down to 1. So it doesn't kill it, but the other thing that it does is that, he doesn't go after Elspeth because Elspeth doesn't matter right now. So he knocks Jace down to 1. I think maybe he forgot about the Cumberstone activation dealing damage. So it looks like he's going to discard for Revelation, and, after we get all this stuff cleared and discarded. The most important thing here, I'm with you, is that, we don't like to pronounce games over when we're on air, but for all intents and purposes, this game is probably over.
Yes.
There's no Elspeth coming from Krabill because it already got discarded via Thoughtseize. None of the cards that Krabill is actually going to play really matter because, as you mentioned, he is blue-white, not Esper. So you can't chain together instants and all of those things. So for Thomas, again, he needs to just get this game over with. And for Krabill, because for him to win this match, he needs to win the next 2 games. Concession is something that he should actually consider doing now, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I would have conceded. We talked about this earlier. Like, when do you concede in Magic?
Yeah.
And when you're an aggressive player, you obviously have no reason to, because you're not going to get time anyway. But in this matchup, time is one of the biggest enemies of you. And if you're way behind and you're Brendon, you want to concede and move on to the next game. And that could be David's plan here. Not slow playing or anything, but just playing it, at the normal rate of the game, making it take his 35 minutes toll, and then game 2, you're in the driver's seat there.
Yeah, and for David here, you see how he's like picking off the planeswalkers.
Yeah.
For him, he's basically going to be up a game here, as there's another aetherling that's going to come down on the table. He's picking up the planeswalkers, just. Maybe using a little more time than he needs to, because there's a big difference between starting game 2 with 25 minutes as opposed to starting it with 22 minutes.
Right.
Something of that nature.
Now, I've never done this in my history of playing this game, but would you go as far as, if my opponent's not conceding and I know that time is going to be a factor here, would you just keep playing each turn as cautiously as possible and not killing Brendon? You know what I mean? Maybe to the point of not even attacking for lethal each turn.
I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, where maybe you think about your turn for a while and you just say like go.
Yeah.
Because I can kill you at my leisure.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. So
yeah.
As the blue-white player, you should just concede. But if you don't want to concede, I'll keep playing.
Yeah.
Because there's a very high chance that game 2 we're just not gonna be able to finish.
Yeah, take your time. Have a good time.
Yeah, I think that's a very real thing. And you see Krabill finally drew his card and conceded. So a lot of things that we're talking about are just kind of the idiosyncrasies that you can talk about in these control mirror matches. But Krabill, I feel like he did concede at the right time. Maybe he conceded a few turns ago, just knowing that, hey, I got to get to work here because my deck does not kill very fast.
No, and looking at let's see the board. I don't think it speeds up at all. I don't think he has anything to speed up the process.
Take a look at his sideboard here. 2 copies of Pithing Needle, 2 Gainsay, an additional Celestial Flare to go with his 2 in his main deck, 2 copies of Glare Heresy, 2 Last Breath, 2 Yoke Docs, 2 Negate, 1 additional copy of Aetherling to go with his 1 main deck, and then a Jace Memory Adapt.
Okay.
Jace Memory Adapt is a card that can't speed things up, but he's playing against Esper, so he's playing against a deck that does have Hero's Downfall.
Yeah.
Probably has some more counter magic after sideboard and stuff of that nature. So, before, in our previous standard format, when you were playing Control Mirrors, you play Jace Memory Adapt, that's it.
Yeah.
Mill you, that's game over.
Yeah.
That's not how things work now, because you'll get to mill him for 10 and then probably die to a Sphere or a Downfall.
Yeah.
So it's not going to really speed things up all that much, but on Thomas's side, he can actually probably speed things up a little more than the blue-white deck can.
He does have the 4 Blood Baron of Viscopa that we've seen earlier, and all 4 of those are going to come in. And seeing how bad Aetherling was for him and seeing how Verdict did nothing in his hand, I wouldn't be surprised to see him board out these Verdicts. Here's the problem. When you're playing a blue-white control deck, you can't afford to skeletonize your deck by taking out all the Verdicts. If they play 1 Blood Baron, you're dead.
Yep.
So you need to be able to keep some in. So I think he's going to keep some Verdicts in. And, Thomas doesn't have the same negative downfall of his deck list. He can actually board out all the Verdicts and be comfortable.
Yeah.
There's no Blood Baron in the future on his side. But he's going to bring in Negate, 1 of 3 Gainsay. A lot more Gainsay than most people play. 2 more Thoughtseize to cap it to 4. Another Dissolve. So tons of counter magic, more than most Esper decks it looks like. 5 more counterspells coming from the board. Another Hero's Downfall and then 2 Glare of Heresy. So a lot of ammunition coming in on David's side.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's kind of interesting because the people who play blue-white, Max Teach, Jesse Hampton, again, Hampton won the Star Stadium's Open in Seattle, where when I was there, because I played in that Open, people were asking him, why are you playing blue-white instead of Esper? He's like, I just think blue-white's the better deck, period, than Esper. He's like, it's not like I can't get the black cards and lands for Esper. I'm choosing not to play, and I want to play blue-white. The same thing can be said for Max Teats. The players who play blue-white, they are very much in favor of playing this deck as opposed to Esper. Now, one spot that I feel that blue-white's a little bit weaker is just in the Esper matchup, but a lot of blue-white players say that, hey, I'm fine here. I don't mind playing this matchup. I think that I can win.
I think Max actually had 3 Pithing Needle in his deck, and that's why he didn't really mind playing the Mirror Match or the Esper deck, because he would just Needle and then out-counter him. But it looks like Brendon changed the deck around a little bit. He has a lot less counterspells than Max had in his whole deck. He only brings in, looks like 2 Gainsay.
He's got 2
Negate
on his board, and he does have the 2 Negate. Yeah,
so
he's actually bringing out.
It's okay, but
board kind of a lot.
Yeah, I think he's still down in counterspells compared to. Let's see how many counterspells we have total over here. We have 3 Dissolve, 4 Dissolve. He has 8 counterspells on David's side with 4 Thoughtseize. So essentially 12 counterspells.
Sure.
Yeah, and on the blue-white side, it looks like he's probably got around 8 as well.
He's got 3. He's got, let me take a quick counter. 2 copies of Essence Scatter, which again, that's a counterspell, but it's not really a counterspell, right? Because it's only good against 1 card.
Right, yeah.
And then he's got 2 copies of Dissolve, 2 Syncopate, so we'll say that's 4. And then we got the 2 Gainsay, 2 Negates, that's 8. And then if we want to count Essence Scatter as counterspell, we're looking at 10 counterspells versus, as you mentioned, Thoughtseize is basically a counterspell in this matchup.
Yeah, or even better, arguably. So
we could even see a little Quicken Thoughtseize action.
Yeah,
too.
I hope so. Only we're lucky here. And I asked David earlier, and he said the life gain or loss actually hasn't mattered much. And I mentioned that I wouldn't play Divination if you had a gun to my head.
Wow.
That card is actually with a gun to my head. All right, I would play if you had a gun to my head.
Is that true?
How about like a plastic gun?
Squirt gun?
Squirt gun.
How
Yeah,
about Super Soaker?
The
big Super Soaker.
Oh, yeah, I'll play that.
Like an XL?
I don't feel like getting wet like
cool
that.
names for Super Soakers.
But I would play Read the Bones in a heartbeat, and I really like Read the Bones. Maybe not in aggro Texas where we're at right now, where everyone's attacking. But like when you play in these bigger tournaments, I would gladly pay 2 life. I love Scry 2. That card is sweet.
I love Divination.
Do you love Divination?
I do.
We keep splitting in 2 different camps here.
I just want to draw 2 cards.
You don't want to Scry 2
first? I don't want to lose 2 life.
That's okay.
It's not okay. I don't want to lose 2 life.
Acceptable losses.
No, I don't want to take any damage. I just want my 2 cards and moving on here, as both players are going to keep Krabill on the play. Does play a Plains. Now he's got an island. As you see, Thomas is going to scry, leaves his card on top, draw a card. Does have a Thoughtseize in his hand. And again, it is about land drops to begin things. And there's a Godless Shrine past the turn back. Now again, Thomas does have that Thoughtseize in his hand, but it's all about picking your spots with Thoughtseize, because Thoughtseize is the preemptive counterspell to take a counterspell, so we can have this big battle. It's
you
not
never
just
waste it
fire
early.
off.
Never waste it early, and you'll see a lot of newer players playing Control for the first time burn them real early, and you can't do that. There are way worse cards to be done, and you need to wait for them to refill their hands with Divinations like you see in Revelations, so you really hit the card like the Aetherling or one of the 2 Elspeth, something big.
There's a Temple, going to scry, going to put that card onto the bottom, and he's going to pass the turn back. So, Krabill does have a Jace Architect Thought in his hand. It also has a, oh my. Oh, baby.
Oh, man.
Quicken. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I am unreasonably happy right now. And you know that Thomas has just been waiting to do this all day. Yeah. Quicken in your draw step. Is this resolved? Because I'm going to Thoughtseize you if it does.
Oh. He didn't
does.
Yeah. All right.
Quicken resolves, and he's going to slide through. How about a Thoughtseize?
All right. All right, Mr. Jokey.
No, I love it.
I love it too. I like it too.
Even if it's like it's debatable how good of like a play this is this turn, I still love it.
Yeah. So I had a good time.
Anything that involves Quicken, I am very happy about.
Yeah. Yep.
And he draws another Quicken. Oh baby.
I have a set of Quickens just in case one day they make a sorcery I like. They used to have a bunch of cool sorceries in Standard, and now Thoughtseize is pretty much the coolest. So
Cycle Azorius Charm on the end step here after Thomas does scry with his Temple of Deceit. So Krabill, again, we do know he has a Jace. Now, Thomas made it so that he could not catch Jace on the previous turn, but I think we're going to see Krabill tap out and catch Jace this turn. Thumbs up from David.
And David's definitely not happy to see that. I think he has a Quicken in his hand. If he does, he probably should have burned it to see if he would hit a counterspell here or Thoughtseize again.
You see a Gainsay and a Gate and a Azorius Guildgate, so interesting split coming here.
Yeah,
because which counterspell do you want him to have?
Yeah, Negate is actually, I think, better than Gainsay in this matchup, mainly because it stops Hero's Downfall, and it stops Blood Baron, or doesn't, excuse me, it doesn't stop Blood Baron. It stops Hero's Downfall, stops Thoughtseize, definitely a bunch of problem black cards that David could cast.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I mean the difference obviously is here is Blood Baron Viscopa, is that Gainsay counters Aetherling.
Right. Definitely
attempts to counter it.
Right.
And now Blood Baron Viscopa does resolve, and you said that those were definitely going to come in because you felt that Krabill was going to sideboard out his Supreme Verdict.
Right.
But he does not.
He does not, yeah. I said, definitely Brendon could have, but knowing that Esper has Blood Baron, you got to leave one in, maybe 2. But if David, gets another Blood Baron out, I don't know if Brendon's going to be able to dispatch that one.
Either way, Thomas just plays a Hollow Fountain past the turn back. Jace is still out there.
Oh, he has a Revelation in his hand, too. I'm curious why he didn't pay 2 life here.
Down to 1. There's a Vert, there's an Elspeth, there's a Rev. That's a good Jace. Going to separate that Rev from everything else. So Elspeth and Vert are going to go to the grip. Rev going to go to the bottom for Krabill. We'll see what the rest of his turn is going to be.
I think David has a Gainsay in his hand, so I might have done the pause a little differently, but definitely would have made the land untap for the Sinks of Revelation there. Just in case. I mean, your life total is irrelevant against Blue White, to be honest.
Yeah, for the most part.
He's got a Mutavault. He's got 1 or 2 Aetherling, but I'm pretty much shocking, no matter what.
All right, well, there's a Rev. There's a Gainsay. Wonder if he's going to fire off a Rev for 2 here. I don't think a Rev for 2 is great, though.
No.
Rather bluff some counter magic or something of that nature.
Yeah, definitely. The bluff is better here. I think he has another Blood Bear in his hand. I think so.
Seeing Elspeth here from Krabill that he slid forward, and he's going to slam the Planeswalker. So what's Thomas going to do? Thomas says, all right, that's fine. Jace is going to move up to 2. Elspeth's going to move up to 5. 3 tokens coming into play. And all of a sudden, the blue-white player is doing pretty good here.
Oh, yeah. David's definitely counter magic light this game. Definitely wants more.
There's a Rev for 2.
Ooh, I would not negate a Rev for 2 here.
Maybe Thomas baiting him.
2, I mean, when you're getting to 4 and 5, then you start to, pique my interest. At 2, I'm uninterested in your divination end of turn. You help yourself.
There is an untapped Godless Shrine. Now here is a Revelation for 5.
This backfired big time. Again, it's kind of like you ask yourself the question, would you counter a divination? Probably not.
I wouldn't.
And a Revelation is the same. If that was a divination at a turn, and that negate's going to be very costly, putting David right back in this game with a fresh fistful of cards here.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be able to beat these Planeswalkers on the table, but you do know, again, that Detention Spheres and Heroes Downfalls are looming, and as long as he can beat the tokens that Elspeth are making, he'll be okay.
Yeah.
Jake's going to go up. Tokens are going to come across. Thomas is going to go down to 20. 3 more tokens coming from Elspeth. That's going up to 6, so we're almost to ultimate for Elspeth.
Yeah, and David, again, is not out, definitely not ahead by any stretch of the imagination, but that Revelation definitely put him back to, competitive mode here.
Yeah, it lets him get to play, which is the most important thing here.
Yep, and we'll see if, see a bunch of cards. Blue cards, I see a Divinate, or excuse me, a Dissolve, I see a Quicken. I still think that's a Blood Baron, that multicolored card. And he's thinking here. He's definitely facing down a few problem cards on the other side of the board.
Yeah, Blood Baron not great in this situation, actually, just because Elspeth can use its minus ability to take care of it while still having those tokens out there. So not at its best. I think we're going to start the turn off maybe with a Divination to get some more options here if you're Thomas. But, again, he seems a little bit unsure of himself, and the blue-white deck has put on a decent amount of pressure here.
Yep, and maybe, again, we look at the clock with 18 minutes left, a little bit above. That could have been a problem where David could have killed his opponent a little bit quicker. We're talking about the draw step ability here. Same thing with Brendon. Even if Brendon played a little faster, I'm sure these guys don't want to draw round 6 here.
Draw's about as bad as it can be.
Yeah, I mean, especially in these big tournaments, these long tournaments, a lot of times you can't win or get into the top 8. I mean, lately, you can't get into these top 8s at X1 and 1.
Yep.
And it's one of those where it's almost a loss in the early rounds.
We'll take the top 3 here. Syncopate, Mutavault, and an Island. Syncopate immediately going to the grip.
Yeah, it looks like Brendon again. As David drew a bunch of counter spells, but Brendon had them early. And, if you have your counter spells early, you're pretty much in the driver's seat.
Well, Elspeth, what are you going to do? You're going to go up, give me some more tokens. So 3 of these will be summoning sick. You see him put them in the back, come across for 6, and have knocked Thomas down to 14. Not firing up that Mutavault yet. Wants to have that Syncopate be the very best that it can be.
Yep. Elspeth, one of those cards, definitely my favorite card from the new set. Once it was spoiled, as Chapin and I were covering the spoiled card online when we were doing the last cast there. And at first you look at 6 mana, you're like, ugh. But then you read it and you're like, oh no, it's great.
Yeah. If you can cast it, it's great.
Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Now Syncopate takes care of the Revelation. So bye-bye goes that Revelation. But Thomas knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So he tapped out for it, knew that was going to happen, and now we're going to see something here, because if not, what you're going to get is you're going to get an Elspeth Ultimate. So Thomas is going to play a dual land untapped. He's going to cast a Divination.
All right, so he's playing things a little bit out of sequence here. Definitely, he might draw an untapped land, doesn't need to take additional damage. He's just conceding.
There's no sphere, no nothing. So Brendon Krabill is going to tie this matchup up. Blue-white control does win game number 2 over Esper control and David Thomas. And we'll see if both players do go back to the sideboard here. Looks like Thomas is going to change some sort of his configuration up. And as we do that, we do want to remind you guys, Cedric Phillips, Shaheen Cerrone, here in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, at SCG Live, hashtag SCGDAL for your tweets. Huey Jensen has been chiming in. You guys can certainly do the same. As Azorius Blue says that he's wanted to see Quicken Thoughtseize too. So he saw Quicken and got really happy, but was unhappy about the negate.
Oh, yeah. The negate was definitely not one of the better plays there, but it's not exactly backbreaking when Brendon was in the driver's seat with Planeswalker in play. and a fistful of cards. So not too bad, not too bad. Elliot Gagnon actually tweets at us saying, control mirrors are the best games to watch. I'm with Shaheen, so a lot of people agreeing here. Chris Baca also agrees. He likes the 75 control mirrors. So there are a few of us, that enjoy watching 1 hour matches of Mage versus Mage, Planeswalker versus Planeswalker,
yes,
battling.
Walker v. Walker, yes.
Yeah, because I feel like when I imagine two control mages battling, I imagine two powerful Planeswalkers slinging spells. When a guy's summoning a Goblin guy, it doesn't really have the same, oomph. You know what I'm saying? You definitely disagree.
I certainly disagree.
Yeah, but I kind of picture it like a meddling little child, like throwing bolts and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
That's what we do. That's
you
what
metal.
We do.
You throwing a wrench into the woodwork.
That's
here.
right. This big tough guy with his hood and all these blue spells, and it's just like, no, I'm just some punk kid. Yeah, you ever seen Pyro in the X-Men movies? That's what I am.
Pyro.
I got my lighter and I'm just a jerk.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
Why'd you even quit the team? Because I wasn't getting respect.
Why doesn't Ellen Page love me? How about that? That's all I want to know.
Oh God. If I had $1 every time I've been like turn 1 Chain Lightning and Legacy back in the day,
taste it.
I'd have like at least $9-10.
Get yourself a taste.
I've tasted it. I'm like, God.
Every time I played against Brendon, I've lost to it. I hate it. I hate it.
You need to play, you said if you play Reanimator in Vegas, you won't lose many games to burn then. You're good.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I know DC is next weekend for the Legacy Grand Prix.
Yep.
And I know that you'll be attending, and I'll be battling as well. So I will say this much. I'm not playing Goblins at the Grand Prix.
Yes, Goblins. I think there's an article. I forgot who wrote it. But recently, it was on Star City, of course, I can't remember the author, but they mentioned how the power level of all the decks has just increased, and poor Goblins is just not breached.
No, we're just on the same linear path. Of just our deck is super mediocre, but we like to grind you down.
Yeah, we like to attack you with Goblin Lackey. Still a scary play, turn 1 Lackey, unless you're half the field who are combo decks that just kill you.
What ended up breaking me, actually, was I was playing at the Invitational a couple weeks ago in Indianapolis, and I played this really great game against Charlotte's Bug, where he resolved 3 Visions and a couple Jaces, and I resolved a bunch of Ringleaders, and I was keeping up on cards with them, and we had spells flying back and forth, and we had this great 20-minute game that I ended up winning at like 3 life. And he's like, "Wow, that game was awesome! You had as many cards as I did the whole time. I didn't know Goblins could do that." And I was like, "I know, right? My deck is sweet."
Yeah.
And then game 3, he just played an Engineered Plague on turn 2 and turn 3, and I just didn't get to play Magic. And I was like, that second game was so much fun. Why can't we do that again?
Yeah. Hold on, Engineered Plague.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
That card was played for a while in Bug, and then they cut it because who plays tribal?
I just can't do it anymore. So Krabill and Thomas are underway in game number 3 here. Again, both players just going to start playing land drops. That's where things begin, and the first one to miss is a high percentage of the time the first one to lose. As we saw that Krabill missed his land drop first in game number 1 and lost.
And we saw Blue White Red when he was stuck on land early in the tournament too. So Andy playing that. Definitely need to hit land. Oh man.
There's a Jace.
Here's the 1-2 punch. Does David have the 4th land and then his own Jace?
That's the big question. He's got a Thoughtseize, so the answer is no.
Because that's the only time you're really punished for doing that. And you see the dissolve in his hand. I don't like it. I think you should play draw go until you can't play draw go anymore. And the big reason is, if David were to play land Jace there, blue-white, you have to tap out again to play Detention Sphere. And then David has his mana resource untapped. He gets to play another Haymaker. So the first one to tap out usually is the one that gets, the short end of the stick there.
Well, you see the hand there. After Thoughtseize does take the Revelation, Resolve, Detention Sphere, Cyclonic Rift, and Elspeth. But no land there for Krabill. So let's see if Thomas has a 4th land or not.
Yeah.
He's got a Quicken, so he's looking for a 4th land. Does Quicken resolve?
David has Dissolve too, so he's... Oh, does he have... does he even Dissolve?
I'm not sure.
Maybe not, actually.
At the very least, you could have bluffed Dissolve.
Yeah, definitely pay the left.
Tough guy Mutavault coming on in. All right, take 2.
We're going to see an end-of-turn removal spell here. Nope.
I see no movement.
He has a Hero's Downfall. Maybe you want to save it?
I mean, he knows that Krabill has Elspeth, so
yeah, that's true.
Maybe he's just fine with saving this and saving that to take care of the Elspeth.
Yeah, I just always love to throw my removal spell at a land. It's fun. It's a good time.
Thomas draws his card, passes the turn back after drawing Elspeth. There's a Revelation.
Let this resolve. I think you let this resolve.
Do you counter Divinations?
I don't think so.
We are countering Divinations, dissolving it. A little bit surprised. I'm with you. If I'm not countering Divination, why am I countering a Rev for 2? That's how I feel.
It's just the card that seems so powerful,
Now there's an Elspeth. And now here looks like a magician who does not have a dissolve.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to
negate it.
Oh, wow.
Now, both these players are just kind of throwing counter magic back and forth at spells, and I think you have to pick and choose what you want to counter in this matchup.
It feels like it's going by too fast, and we're not really thinking about what we're doing here. But the rev for 4 main phase. If Brendon plays a land and an aetherling.
Trouble.
Whew. That is not good news. So David doesn't have that much removal left after sideboard. Does he have the aetherling? That's the question. If he does, we're going to have a punishing turn here. Another card I really don't like in this matchup is Cyclonic Rift. I see Brendon having it in his hand. It doesn't do a heck of a whole lot in this matchup.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right, where you can catch someone off guard when they detention sphere something, get your permanent back, maybe activated, things of that nature.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of with you where I don't feel like it does a ton in this matchup.
Yeah.
As there's a Temple of Deceit. So Thomas does not get punished for tapping out on his turn. He's going to scry and pass the turn back. 10 minutes about left on the clock here. Hallowed Fountain going to come into play untapped for Krabill.
Could be another reason why the speed play here, and I don't mind this, Oh, now we're going to kill it?
Yeah, there's a Hero's Downfall.
Now, Mr. Thomas, you want to kill it? Founder of Wendy's tries to stop it.
Now we're fighting over this. Now, boy, both players are just unleashing counter magic.
What in the world is going on here? This fireworks.
Yeah.
No,
we're having a battle over default.
You want to stone rain me? I'll show you. For those listening, by the way, speaking of Stone Rain, if you're playing Blue White Red coming up in any tournament, Classic in Virginia Beach next week, I have added 2 Demolish to the sideboard.
That is the worst thing I've ever heard.
For fun. It's good times.
For fun?
Yeah, Underworld Connections. You want to do that?
Oh, you want
to tango?
You want to get a little 2-for-1?
A little 2-for-1. I'm sick of it. I'm done. You want to go all in on this little enchantment on your land? I'll make you pay.
All right. You know what? I can respect it. I can respect it.
Boom.
Here's a revelation for 3. So are we going to fight over this one? Here's a dissolve.
Oh, man.
Back.
This is.
Does this hurt you as a control player?
This is anarchy. I don't like this. I'm going to have a little talk with David. I think the reason is, honestly, they know they have 10 minutes left, and they're playing as fast as possible.
6 mana, boy, oh boy. I think we know what's coming to the party now. There is aetherling.
Yep. And Brennan's like, darn it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. Both players are playing incredibly fast here because Thomas used 4 blue mana to after the aetherling, where they only used to use 2, so he's got a godless right.
And Brendon wasted a bunch of counterspells trying to save a Mutavault, so that could have targeted aetherling. What's more important here?
Now, obviously, all for
heat of the moment.
Yeah, I mean, all for joking around and things of that nature. But this is a situation where I think obviously there's 8 minutes about left on the clock, because both players are playing very, very quickly to get done. But 8 minutes is a little bit longer than I think they think, or at least that they realize.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to get a draw when you're both sitting at 5-0, because a draw is about as good as a loss in their tournament, where we have 628 players, only 10 rounds of Magic. But at the same time, I don't think they needed to fire off their counterspells that
that was just. I understand 1 or 2, but how many counterspells were fired in that short period of time? Like 6.
Cyclonic Rift, gonna blink that out for sure. Just pass the turn back. So Aetherling is going to. This was on the end step.
Oh,
yeah, this was on the end step. So that'll come back. It's basically playing as a fog here. Yep. There's a Thought Seize, so you guys can get a good look at the cards in hand from Krabill. Again, sitting there with a D sphere. I think he's got Aetherling in his hand right now, which is a big time whammy. And there is an Aetherling, along with a Supreme Verdict and a Detention Sphere. So he's going to take Detention Sphere. Now that is interesting.
I think David has another counterspell, so if he even tries Aetherling, it's not going to work. I think he's about to play a Jace also.
But I have another discard spell too. Here's 6 mana.
Another Aetherling, Elspeth.
Elspeth.
Yep.
So, I mean, if he's tapping 6 mana, it's one of those 2 cards. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, if he has a Jace, I think Jace is slightly better here.
All right, so there is a Jace. This is going to go down. Temple, Godless.
This is where I do my 3-0. Why not?
Yeah, deck them.
Knock yourself out, yeah.
Yeah, obviously going to take 2 lands as opposed to 1. And there is Temple. Scry time. Bottom shelf. In comes Aetherling. Pass the turn back. And if you are right that he does have a counter spell, then obviously leaving Aetherling in hand is perfectly fine.
Yeah, and he's going to try, and then it's going to get Metal Dissolve.
There's the Dissolve.
See, it turns out David has just a couple more counterspells, and Brendon drew this wrong side of his deck. He left in Verdict, and I wouldn't be surprised if David boarded out Bloodbaron.
I wouldn't be surprised either, honestly. Knowing that his opponent leaves in Verdict from Game 2, I think you can safely board him out and say, hey, I've got 2 Aetherlings to get the job done, and that's good enough for me.
Yep.
So now you're going to see Thomas again playing very, very quickly. Wants to make sure that he gets those activations in. You know, make sure that it's 4 activations, not 5.
Yeah.
Or things could get a little hairy.
Moto at F6 once against an opponent just because I was already dead, and he used it a 5th time, and I won that match.
That's lucky.
Yeah, so it's definitely good. It's a short story. I like to give short stories once in a while.
All right, a little anecdote.
Yeah.
Jace going to get cashed in for a Quicken. Now it looks like another Jace going to come to the party, so I'm wrong. It's another Ling. This could be an Elspeth. It could be anything. There's an Elspeth. All right.
Yeah, something's going on here. This is these guys have the urgency that we haven't seen much today.
They got that speed.
Yeah,
that speed magic.
We're on we're 10 out of 10. We're in 5th gear right now.
Aetherling just with 1 blue mana up. You see the hand there for Krabill. I believe it's double Azorius Charm and a Supreme Verdict. And while Verdict will kill those tokens, Aetherling is going to go into hiding. Peace out. Tokens go bye-bye. Elspeth stays in play, I promise. There we go.
That card will be real good. Oh, you forgot his Aetherling.
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
So it's the thing with Aetherling and its trigger is that it is you can't forget it.
Right.
Because it has to come back. You can't. It's not optional for it not to come back.
Well, it will come back during. It will be the opponent's choice of when it comes back.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it comes back in the next phase.
Right. So combat.
Whatever the next phase is that's when the trigger goes on the stack. So
I remember with the
Invitational.
Yeah. Osbat was a big one. Like, when would you like this to come back?
Well, it's never an option.
Never. Yeah. No, I can't say that one.
You see, Thomas going to quickly untap here. Krabill cashed in one of his Azorius Charms. Thomas now just dropping cards on the floor. He is playing at breakneck speed.
Yep. We have what was it? We'll see his.
Azorius
take
Charms.
that.
Yep. Blink
take
both
that.
of those.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Soldier's going to come across for 3. Put Krabill down to 7.
I bet David Thomas having a real good laugh right now about Azorius Charm because him and I got a little debate about it between rounds. Mr. No Azorius Charm.
You see Jace is going to turn over Revelation versus cards. Revelation going to go to the bottom. Thoughtseize will make sure that the attack will be lethal next turn. 3 more Soldier tokens, and David's going to pass the turn back. Krabill draws his card. Quicken Thoughtseize you in the draw step.
Oh, yeah.
We finally get to see it.
Yeah.
We finally get to see it. Can't get enough of the old Quicken Thoughtseize.
Yeah, Quicken Thoughtseize is it's prime-time play here.
Really good against Mono Red, too. That, no? That's not
no,
true.
not so much.
Okay.
Oh, you drew a land? All right.
I syncopate that. Oh. And that is going to do it. So David Thomas does defeat Brendon Krabill 2-1. Esper Control moving on to 6-0, defeating Blue White Control here in Dallas, Fort Worth.